Welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday interview sessions. I am your host, Ryan Hartley. This channel exists to inspire and encourage your heart-centered leadership. Each week, I share interviews with some of the greatest heart-centered leaders in the world. I hope our time spent together helps you leave a heartprint where those around you are left better than yesterday. Please visit abty.co.uk if you would like us in your corner. These interview sessions are brought to you by Matt Media Online Marketing, an independent agency who specialise in content marketing, helping business owners get their message seen by the right audience. If you want to get your business seen through the power of social media, head to mattmedia.online. On episode 214, I am joined by one of my favourite content creators, Janis Ozolins. I am a huge admirer of Janis's work, and I believe that he is a real master of the craft of communicating ideas through simple visuals. I am always sharing Janis's work within the Always Better Than Yesterday community and on Instagram because I think he is incredible at communicating ideas simply. Head to Janis's website, which you can find in the show notes, to learn more about his creative content and learn more about his course, Explain Ideas Visually, if you'd like his help bringing your creative ideas to life. Here we go, episode 214 with Janis Ozolins. Janis, welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast. How are you, brother?
I am good. Hello, Ryan.
First thing I just want to say is I have a huge appreciation for your work. I think there's something incredible when people can take an idea, a feeling, a concept, and just make it so incredibly beautiful and simple and easy to understand. So huge honor for your work, my friend.
Thank you very much. It's always very motivating to to hear these words and kind of keep going. Though I really love to do it. It's just fun. It's complete play for me.
Complete play. Yeah, I think that's important, isn't it? You know, I've got a friend down the road, he talks about find your playground. And I think so much of that has been lost in the creative space.
Yeah, I think, I find it quite interesting as well, because I'm doing this for like 2 years. And when I started, it was just create the content, try to build some audience. There was like zero business thinking or whatever. But now I feel, when it becomes a bit more like a business and there are more these businessy duties, answer to emails, do this, do that, like arrange some sponsorship slots and whatnot. It starts to feel a bit interesting, you kind of lose a bit the playfulness there. So I'm currently kind of trying to find the balance and really carve out the space for the creative work to feel like play again and not feel too overwhelmed with all like the businessy, boring type of things. It's good problems to have, but still, it's just an interesting observation I made recently.
Yeah, I remember being in corporate. My background's in policing, and we were in an organizational development department. And the idea of being creative and innovative was to get out the flip charts, to get out the post-its, but it was forced. It was almost like, right, we've got 1 hour to be innovative, rather than embodying this sense and this spirit of creativity, play, and I guess one of the images that kind of speaks to that on your grid is this idea of thinking with the light bulb. And then when you're in the shower, like the light bulb's on, there's something about we do our best work when we're not actually trying to force it.
It is. I think there's some research has been done, and I guess that's just your subconscious is able to kind of kick in and speak to you, because you're not like forcing yourself to think certain things, and then you just, when you wonder, some good things definitely have some good ideas have come to me as well, and I think most of us can relate to this sort of thing.
Yeah, I love the Twitter thread that you put out that talked about, when you're working 2017, you come across Tim Ferriss's book, and there's this competence and knowledge kind of chart, isn't there? And you kind of point out that you were at phase 2 of this chart, which ultimately is getting to that point, this paradoxical moment where you start to realize, you start to know all the things that you don't know.
Yeah, that was a big moment for me. That was a big moment. For sure. I still kind of can remember I was back in my apartment in Latvia, and I was just walking in the bedroom, first time listening ever, first time listening to an audiobook, and I was like 2 hours in, and I had this I think I said it to myself like internally, like, holy shit, Janis, you've been such an idiot, there's just because I was blown away with what I was hearing, I was just doing my school and kind of being in this early 20 mid 20 arrogant type of vibe where you feel like, oh, I got things, I know how things work. I understand the world and stuff, and then it was just like kind of a hit with a hammer. Made me realize there is so much to learn, and it's just super awesome, and it's been fun since.
Hey friends, just wanted to take a moment to ask if you are a good man seeking growth and good men to grow with. Or maybe your partner's a good man and he's seeking good men to grow with. We are launching Akira, our council of good men who are seeking to walk the path of wisdom with other good men. Akira launches in March. Now is the opportunity to become a founding member of Akira. It will be a low-cost, high-value place for men where they'll benefit from support, challenge, accountability, ideas and solutions. There'll be opportunity for connection and collaboration where you'll receive new insights and perspectives. You'll gain learning and growth. It will improve your mental, spiritual and physical well-being, and it will help you be a better leader in the home, in business and in life. It's Akira, a council of good men seeking to walk the path of wisdom with other good men. We hope to see you on the inside. See the show notes for the links, abty.co.uk/Akira. And here we go. Back to the interview. I love that even within that, you said you took some time to get some clarity on the future that you wanted to live. And yet here you are having just completed almost a 2-day moving your family from Latvia to Spain and almost being on the road and being able to travel with your work. And I'd just love to know a little bit about the journey that's kind of got you to this place where that's even become possible.
Yeah, kind of moving somewhere else and trying to live somewhere else has been always like kind of itch for us. It wasn't like a super strong itch, and there was always like work and stuff, so wasn't just really possible. But currently, like with the business I currently have, first of all, it's possible. First time we are kind of okay. Like it's still possible, if you have 9 to 5, it's just way harder. You probably need to know the language or find like work there and then move. It's a lot harder. But with this whatever super remote job, it was just first of all possible. And yeah, like the second thing was we really wanted more summer out of the year, because in Latvia you get it like maybe two really nice sunny summery months, but here in Spain it's like I don't know, 7 months like that or something.
Yeah.
So that was kind of one of the main goals of why we moved. And kind of our kids are like 2 and 5 years old, so they're kind of preschool, and if they will go to school here, it will be kind of, I believe it will be easier for them to pick up the language and whatnot. So yeah, very exciting move. Just kind of settled in, just built this table where I'm having this call with you. So it's been a fun journey, very fulfilling. I must say, like last 2 months have been very slow with the business type of things. I was just like reusing a lot of my old stuff, just kind of to keep building the audience and just still be visible online. But now when I'm settled in, slowly I will kind of get back on track and start to take things more seriously. But that was again a big part of this move, the ability to kind of slow down with the business and not go completely crazy. Okay, it's fine. I take a couple of months more easy, and then we will kind of pick up the steam again. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. You and I seem to hit the audiobooks in the same year. 2017 was the year I got into audiobooks, and I see you've quoted good people like Brendan Burchard. And what were the types of books that really helped grow that creativity mindset that you've crafted?
Yeah, I've listened to like a lot of books, and it's very hard to pinpoint. Of course, like Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, as it was the first one. It was just completely mind blowing. It just opened my eyes to what's really possible, and that there are completely different ways how people live and do whatnot. But still, like very actionable thing I took from that book, which I'm still kind of applying today. Well, kind of applying was like I stopped reading news. That was like, because previously I was just opening my regular, like whatever CNN in Latvia, or or whatever it is, and just like kind of reading it and stuff, and it was such a waste of time. And I have not like picked up that, never. Like the only like news type of stuff I get, from Twitter, when I don't know, Elon screams or something happens, then you just kind of notice things. Yeah, but some other books, I don't know. In general, I would say I think it was mostly hearing the stories, finding myself in some other person's shoes. Like, hey, I can see some familiarities. It's not like he's like some super genius or something. And that kind of relatability and humbleness, and then seeing how those people kind of grew and where they got and how they got there. That was, I think, the most helpful thing in general, kind of to keep going, to keep experimenting. There wasn't any hacks or anything. It was just mostly about kind of the desire got stronger, and kind of the motivation was still there. So I just kept pushing, kept trying different things, and failed a lot and did a lot of weird things. But yeah, now with the visuals, it's kind of been a pretty good 2 years.
Hey friends, I just wanted to take a quick moment to introduce the new official sponsor of the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast, Matt Media Online Marketing. Matt Media have been involved in the production of over 100 interview sessions. I highly recommend their services. Matt Media Online Marketing are an independent agency who specialize in content marketing, helping business owners get their message seen by the right audience. If you want your business seen through the power of social media, head to mattmedia.online. You can find the link in the show notes. And here we go. Back to the interview. But I think the thing that I'd love my audience for you to hear from you specifically is that even in those experiments and failure, you credit a lot of clarity coming from those actions.
Definitely. I still kind of believe that, of course, you can more or less figure out where the direction where you would want to go. In my case, I think what I felt really strong about, I wanted to be like a solopreneur. I didn't want to have like a team or anything like that. I really wanted this laptop lifestyle. I have no desires to make like millions of dollars a year or something like that. I want to just live my good life, do my little contribution, and do this on my own terms and stuff like that. That was like very North Starry things, in terms of, will I be like a YouTuber? Will I build some sort of SaaS product and learn how to code? Will I be this whatever visual artist I'm now, podcaster? There's loads of various ways how you can get there.
Yeah.
But it was very hard to figure out which will be my direction. So I definitely tried different things. And that was just, it's hard to figure out what you want, what will work, what you will like. It's easier just to try it, understand really, okay, this is really not for me, or I could change this and that, and then it maybe could feel like something I really enjoy. But yeah, like I think with visuals, some things which kind of came together was kind of looking a bit at my traits and strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because like I'm bad like at reading, I'm bad at like long-term focusing, like cranking out a blog post is just hard for me, which is something long and stuff like that. Like making YouTube videos, I really enjoyed it, but I really wanted like perfectionist kicked in, and I wanted to make like Matt Diavella style videos.
Yep.
But that was just unsustainable, with the life that's going on. I still kind of enjoy, I think, video type of stuff. I would enjoy, but it's just maybe something I will take on later down the line. But with visuals, a lot of things came together. I'm like this brainstormy guy, and then with visuals, most of the work is kind of in your head, just taking walks, thinking about different concepts, just sketching some ideas, and then just quickly pulling that together. So it was kind of easy to sustain it and be consistent with it. And at the same time, a lot of like my traits and my strengths and things I desire was in that type of thing. Maybe for you, it's like you really like to have these conversations that's just like juice you up. So maybe the podcasting is for you. So that's kind of maybe my rant on this part.
Yeah, and I like the bit where you talk about strengths and weaknesses, and I think there's something about the use of our gifts and our skills and our talents, like that's in part for us because it feels good while we use them, right? It feels effortless, it feels like flow, even if it's difficult or tricky, like there's still a desire to get back and do the work because we've enjoyed it. And then there's this realization that actually those gifts and skills and talents, they are for the benefit of people in the world who enjoy that stuff too. And I guess at what point did you find that kind of that wonderful bit in the middle where what you were really good at was actually useful and people were loving your work?
It's very interesting question, and kind of the route I went was I really took advice from Tim Urban. And he has this, like, whenever he writes his blog posts, the thing I think he says is like that he imagines like a full stadium with Tim Urbans, and then he writes to those 10,000 Tim Urbans, you know. So basically he is his audience, and he tries kind of to please himself, and in that way he thinks he will attract like similar people to him or whatever, you know, and just at least he enjoys the work because whatever, he would love to read it and stuff like that. And I took a very, very similar approach. I really create something I would like to consume.
Yeah.
And like one of my core principles is like respect audience's attention, you know, make things snappy, make things fast. Don't like write crazy long stuff. You know, there is place for that. And I'm not like saying it's bad or good. It's mostly what I really, really enjoy. And I really like this idea of bringing some sort of various ideas and give them to you like this. That was really something I love to consume as well, and it was just interesting for me to create, and I really took the Tim Urban's approach, like I just create for myself. And whenever I have this conflicting thing, you know, because when you grow bigger, you start to think about, you know, what could like work, and those thoughts really creep into your head, and I think it's completely fine. But always like my deal breaker is like, would I like this? Would I like to consume, or if I will put out, I pretty much don't put anything controversial online, but you know, but again, that would be the filter how I do it. Like, if I would see this, would I like to see this? Would I be like happy, whatever, you know, if it even triggers me or something? And that's like kind of my final checkbox, which I follow.
What's the end goal? Like, you know, for me, I've got this being better than yesterday. So I've got a filter that says I want all of my content to leave people better in some way. Is there like an overarching principle, filter, goal that your content points to?
Yeah, there is some sort of, you know, all these companies have these visions, mission statements or whatnot. And like kind of my aspirational thing is like I think one of the two of the most fulfilling things in my life that has brought like tremendous growth, tremendous happiness and stuff was getting into personal development, meaning like audiobooks and that type of stuff, and like starting to be creative online, you know, so basically joining creator economy. So if with my work I can bring more people into one of these fields or both of these fields, that's bringing like a lot joy to me. I think it's a cool little filter, kind of how which I try to follow. And I think kind of my work a bit fits that, you know, because with these snappy illustrations, you can kind of get maybe some people in who are not willing to like listen to 2-hour Tim Ferriss podcast or whatever, you know, but you can, by the way, share my Instagram account and it's like, oh, these actually cool, interesting ideas. And then you maybe find whatever Brendan Richard, and then you start listening to his podcast, and then you'll read some books, you know. So that's kind of the goal. And I plan to do like coffee table books as well, which could be nice, you know, nice way to gift somebody maybe who is not into these type of things, and maybe a light, easy way to bring them into this journey. So that's kind of my overarching goal or filter, call it whatever you want.
I'd love a copy of that when it's ready.
It's not ready. It's not ready, but you definitely will get it when it will be ready.
Here's my encouragement to you, my friend. I would love that. It's just powerful, isn't it? And I do love your work, and I found it. How do you feel about these Instagram accounts that share your work, maybe don't credit you, and then try and sell you back the use of their of their audience that they've built using your work?
It's most of the times you are not that crazy bothered with it, you know. At the beginning, there are various phases, you know. When you're kind of small in terms of followers, you're so happy when somebody like shares your work and even credits you at the bottom of some like 10-page thread, you're really happy that somebody kind of notices you and just finds your work worthy of sharing, and then there's the various way, where you feel, these punks are just trying to grow themselves off my work, so, so it's a double-edged sword, but it's just something I understood. It's very hard to control. So I kind of just let it go, Sometimes if I feel something is like really unethical or something, I'll just reach out or ask some questions, because oftentimes you really don't understand the context, because, I don't put like at my username at my visuals, and sometimes they get shared, on Reddit or whatever, and somebody picks it up from somebody else, and it's not like fair for me to go and punch them in the face, but they actually got it from somewhere else and they have no idea it's actually me behind the thing. So I kind of just ignore it wherever it's like too unethical, and maybe it'll reach out, but in general, I'm not really bothered. And I kind of, again, I keep in mind the overarching goal, still like more people see this message, it's good stuff, whatever, it's fine if I don't get like the credit or whatever. So yeah, and then in general, not bothered, but whenever it's too sketchy, then I will reach out.
I'd love to know a bit about your creative process. I mean, for me personally, as a podcaster, I've always got a notes page of some ideas, some things that have just come to me wherever I am, whether I'm listening to stuff or reading on the dog walk. And then I'll sit in front of the mic and I'll just use my creativity as an opportunity to express myself. And I've found clarity in my content by looking backwards. Like I've just got to a point where I create every day. And I didn't used to think of myself as being creative, because I thought creativity was with my hands. And I've started to realize that even this is a form of creation, right? The experience that we're creating. That's given me even more permission and freedom to create something, like you said, that I love, that I would love to listen to. The conversations I'm having with good people like you are ones that I would love to listen to. So that's part of my creative process. And I'd love to know, like, where do you start? Where do you get these ideas from? And how do they end up in these simplistic, powerful images that you end up publishing?
Yeah, I think my starting process is very, very similar to, there's just these various things we do, listen to podcasts, take dogs to walk, this and that. Like I take notes constantly all the time. Whenever I have something, I'll just take notes down. And I would say here that it's almost like you need to tune up your awareness a bit, and really pay attention whenever you're like, I feel really bummed right now, and that could be content idea, why I do feel this, because I have this like huge amount of work to do. And then actually this could be something, feeling of overwhelm, whatever, and then you just note that down in whatever way you can, or just do a quick sketch, maybe on iPad or something, whatever you have at the moment. And same like with listening to podcasts, you hear some story, and that maybe reminds of some of your own story, or some accident or something, and then you just quickly note that down. Or whatever, you hear some idea from whatever Ryan Holiday, and that instantly creates this whatever visual in your head, and then you maybe quickly sketch it out. So it's just taking notes constantly, tuning up a bit my awareness, and then really it's just sitting at the computer, or just having a walk and just scrolling through those ideas, and understand, this really like resonates with me at this moment. Let's take it further. Let's see what we can make of it. And then it's basically kind of just working with that idea. And sometimes the idea I have whatever taken a notes, feeling overwhelmed by looking at my huge to-do list, not a real example, but for example, I might come up with something completely different at the end, when you kind of work with that idea and try to figure out how to put it together. And I often will look at like my previous work, and maybe maybe I could apply this to this template, and then I can adjust this and that, and try to find like a clever wording so it kind of rhymes and is easy kind of to digest and stuff. So yeah, it's basically the idea capturing part, and then just sitting at the computer, finding something that you feel kind of inspired by at that moment, and just take that idea and take it further with laptop, and just play around in Figma, and then move things around, and just try to understand how to put it together.
What's one of the posts that you've shared recently is about how to isolate, I think, is about judging. And I think your post was aimed around judging others, but I think being a creative, sometimes that can be an internal judgment of self, judgment of work. And, is that something that you've had to journey through, journey past? Where does that kind of inner critic, does that ever show up for you?
Uh, I would say very lightly, but I believe like all of us have it in some way or form. But it's not something I really struggle with. I would say
Mm,
there is definitely I've struggled with perfectionism quite a bit, and I think the visual form is again something where it's rather easy for me to overcome it because
hmm
again it's simple illustrations. I've kind of created this thing around that, not a medieval style YouTube video where it's just insane amount of work and knowledge you need to put in to put out something like medieval does. But with these visuals it's a bit different. The simplicity, same with Jack Butcher and Visualize Value.
Yep.
Like he's even on a next level in terms of simplicity, just a couple of lines and that's
Yep.
his brand and style, and that's what people love. So yeah, I got a bit off track here, but that's kind of how I deal with it. But I don't struggle too much with like self-judgment or something like that. Of course it creeps in and that's normal, but you just work through that and that's that.
Mm, you got little ones, you got children.
Yeah, I have 2-year-old and 5-year-old.
I wonder when you'll apply some of the parenting concepts to these images. See if you can make parenting as simple as an idea like that, or is it just too chaotic?
No, I definitely see maybe a simplified like coffee table parenting type of
Mm,
book, which would be just easy to digest. But actually, when you talk about like parenting books was one of the things which triggered visuals, because like my journey into this visual thing I'm doing was like, first I saw it, I was reading just James Clear's blog, and sometimes he do these simple like illustrations or XY graphs with some of his concepts, and that was the first time it kind of triggered me like, hey, you can actually like deliver an idea only with visual. It shouldn't be like a complementary thing to a blog post, because I look at this image and I understand the concept. That was like kind of the first moment. The second moment when I discovered Jack Butcher, and he was already kind of making it through visuals, and I was like, holy shit, like this dude is proving that it can be your main thing. It shouldn't be like some sort of supplementary thing to your blog or whatever. He's making like a full-time thing with these whatever Visualize Value visuals. And the third point was there is this really nice account on Instagram called Liz and Molly, and they share about feelings at work, which I really love them. But unfortunately, they have like blocked me because I don't know. They think maybe I have stolen something or something. Very very sad. I tried to reach out, nobody replied. But I love them, absolutely legends. And they talk a lot about feelings. And at the same time, I was like listening to some parenting books and listen to any parenting book, which is decent, and they will tell you, you need to acknowledge your kids' feelings. That is kind of often the main theme you hear.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, damn, it's like the same with adults. Who likes when you come home and whatever you say, you have a tired day, and then your wife starts to lecture you what you should do, and you should sleep more and drink beer less or whatever. It's awesome when she hugs you and says, you like, oh, you had a hard day, honey. Yes, I did. And then you can kind of move on from there. So I kind of started to apply this acknowledging feelings concept to creativity. Like my theme at the beginning was like creative struggles, and that really kind of started to gain some engagement in the early days. Now I'm a bit like all over the place. But yeah, that was a big actually realization and helpful thing at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like it. It's obviously there's a huge theme of personal development, and there's just so even if I'm just scrolling through it now, there's so many practical, almost like even just this thing that here, which is about doing, reading, watching, and listening, and it's just that reminder. Even just this image here right now, if I'm scrolling, there's a reminder where actual learning happens, and for me, as I can see here, is in the doing, and that's the case. All right, reset focus, reset the intention, get back to doing good stuff in the world.
Yep. And it's like, for me, it's same with writing. Most people say that when they write, they kind of realize a lot of things by themselves. And this is a really nice way for me kind of to journal on some ideas, on some concepts. And often I find them like, it's very interesting when I come up with some sort of idea and I feel like, okay, this feels kind of true to me. But then I put it out and some people start to comment, different things. Hey, this could be that and this. And I'm like, hey, actually true. And it's like, helps to absorb these ideas better for yourself just by kind of creating and sharing them online and gathering feedback. So it's a nice back and forward thing.
Yeah. One of the themes of your posts that really trigger me is when you've got all the tabs. It's like you've looked at my laptop screen, you've seen all the tabs, and then you talk about, oh, I was really focused today. Not like, because there's all these tabs at the top. And I think that is sometimes it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You can use these, and I like the way you reframe, because you talk about pain or gain. Have you spent the pain of your time by consuming all this stuff, or have you gained by using these tabs or social media platforms to make a gain, whether that be serving, building a business, whatever that might be? But I think that there's so much of a time killer. There's so much of a draw of our focus away from maybe being creative, maybe doing the things that we know we could and should be doing, into some of these platforms. Are there particular things that you have to put in checks and balances around making sure that you're spending time in that good focused creation zone?
Yeah, it's definitely something I have not figured fully out, and it's like evolving and changing all the time. I think one really helpful, it's kind of, it feels weird at the same time, but one really helpful thing was when I got my first child. That was the moment when we basically stopped watching TV at the evening, stopped like, having wine in the evening, watching TV. We just went to bed super early with kid, because he wakes up during the night, but like kind of my wife mostly dealt with the kid like during the night. And at that time I still went to bed like early, and then I started to wake up at 4:30, and then I was able to like do some creative work 2.5 hours before my 9 to 5, with kind of really fresh mind. I really like the early morning days, but I know it's not for everybody. I was just listening too much to Jocko Willink, and I was like, yeah, 4 in the morning.
Yeah, get some, stay hard.
Yes, exactly. But I always remind people I was going to bed like really early, 9:30, so I got my 7:30, 7.5 hours of sleep. So it was fine. I felt really good. So kind of having the kids eliminated a lot of unnecessary things. Of course, it kind of fills up with like various other responsibilities, but that was really helpful thing. But these days, it's still, again, I'm really blessed with the work I'm doing, because a lot of it is just brainstorming. I can go about my day, be like whatever, deal with the kids, do this, go pick up groceries, and still note ideas. Think maybe, go to the shop and think about a specific concept I want to create today. Because often the creation process for me now is I might make a visual line for like 15 minutes, so at the computer it's very little time to actually do that creative work, but most is like kind of forcing yourself a bit to think about it and so on. But yeah, other than that, of course, I get distracted with like social media and stuff, and there are periods where I'm like really good with it and not really like my only thing I consume is a bit of Twitter, just by kind of following and replying to people, and podcasts, which is I love. But sometimes I go to rabbit holes. When there was like all these like wars and viruses going on, there was times where I was just observed and like news and like reading shit and trying to kind of make sense of it. So yeah, there's periods, but I'm still figuring it out. Just yeah, but I think I'm pretty good with forgiving myself and not being this like hard ass Jocko Willink type of guy, but like, okay, Janis, you can be lazy, for a week, work through this, and it will come back, and it always will. It always really comes back when I let myself, I kind of forgive myself, and I slowly move on to more productive. I'm not this crazy like everything is in calendar, like boom, boom, this, that. Like that's not me. Maybe I will. I don't know. I'm still kind of working through this stuff myself. And the graph and like our schedule changes all the time, because then kids like wake up super early, then they sleep in, and then like, should I wake up early? Should I work maybe at the evening a bit more? So it's a bit like always things are changing.
But I think being lighthearted with that is always a compassionate way, isn't it? Because I sometimes I'm sit here and before I know it, I'm looking at something disconnected. I go onto an app, I'm supposed to do something, and before you know it, I'm looking at probably like singing goats or something like that. I'm like, what am I? And so I just, what am I doing with my life? Like, I asked myself that question in a kind of satirical humor, kind of like, what am I doing with my life, with my time? And that's it. Pre-focus, get back on. There's no need to sit around feeling like, oh, I've wasted my time. No need to keep hanging on to that bad energy as we go into the rest of the day.
That's good. I think everybody have these questions, which really helps and resonate with us. I think one quote, which is from Brandon Burchard, really speaks to me and have like got me through a lot of moments. Was one of his quotes is, or just some variation of it, is like, I believe in my abilities to figure things out.
Yes.
And that quote just really resonates with me, because like this is not this, it's not like affirmations, where you go into mirror and say, I am rich, but actually you're freaking dead poor at that moment, and you're kind of lying to yourself. Like, but ability, like the ability, I believe in my abilities to figure things out, is just something where it's really honest. You have figured things out before, why you can't figure out this or whatever. So just, that quote really helps me.
I agree. I took that quote away from, I think it's in the bit around confidence, isn't it? I think it's in the section around confidence. And the reason it resonated with me at that time is because I used to, in my corporate role, work with a group of analysts, and analysts used to place their confidence in their knowledge, and which meant that they were quite fearful of being asked a question that they didn't know the answer to. And I used to use that quote to help them actually believe in your ability to figure it out. That means you can be confident irrespective of whatever question comes your way.
That's really good. That's really, really well put. Yeah, totally agree.
How are you journeying? You're believing your ability to figure it out. You're 2 years into, is it 2 years into running your business now?
It's so in April it will be 2 years since I left my 9 to 5. But after I left my 9 to 5, I was a bit like sitting on some sort of government support for a couple of months. But yeah, April was basically when I pulled the plug. Actually, my wife kind of motivated me to pull the plug.
Nice.
Which was really like awesome and nice, and it has worked out really, really well thus far. Yeah, but yeah, it's one thing which is definitely different than the corporate world. Like the paycheck is like this, it's like up and down, up and down, up and down. You're like one, it's crazy.
Yeah, I really resonate with that. So I went full time with Always Better Than Yesterday 2020, and I think it was similar. My wife actually, for the very first time, was like, right, let's go. You do this. I've got, and I feel like I gained not a safety net, but I gained the permission or the freedom, or actually, I guess, the teammate and the support. Just the emotional support to say, you got this, and I'm going to back your decision, because no one wants to kind of make that decision and put your family in a worse position and be the one solely responsible for causing chaos.
Yep, I totally agree. But yeah, for me, it was pretty similar, because again, it was around when like the COVID hit, and we didn't, like, we were just forced at home, so we didn't went out a lot. And we kind of managed to save quite a bit of money, and then we kind of understood, okay, like with this support, and we were like, my wife was on paternity leave, so there was some support for that, and I was like, okay, we have like almost like 2-year runway, so and I started to gain some audience, some freelance gigs started to roll in. I said no to them at the beginning. I was kind of good to be in that position, but I felt some sort of progress, like first time in my creative career, and then like kind of then we said, okay, fuck it, let's do this.
What was what was the COVID response like in Latvia? They're quite hard. They're quite.
I
Was it? Do you have lockdowns?
Yeah, we had lockdowns, I think, for a couple of months. I
Mm,
don't really remember because again, we were like IT jobs. We were able to stay at home. Recently, we actually moved into our house, so we had garden. So I was like,
mm.
sometimes parents didn't visit us too often, so it was almost like a blessing. But that quickly changed, and it got a bit boring. But yeah, for me it was completely fine and very easy, I would say. As family was home, we had like house
Mm.
and garden and stuff. So I don't know how other people dealt with it, but for me it was fine.
You just said the word boring. I really like one of the images on your grid that talks about, when we were kids or we used to be bored, and there's loads of moments throughout the day where we used to be bored. I think maybe it was our ancestors or something like that. So our days used to be broken up with a lot of boredom. Whereas now in our modern world, there's very, very short glimpses of boredom. And you'd say that being bored or having boredom is the lost skill. What do you mean by boredom being a lost skill?
Well, I think it's I wouldn't say it was a skill, back then. You were just freaking bored because there wasn't these like flip phones and whatnot, and you had like whatever, your one journal or one newspaper which you were able to read, and that was that.
Mm,
But these days it's just with all the in the modern world, with all the like phones, internet
mm,
everywhere, like social media, so much platforms, so much clever ads, like algorithms are just too good.
mm,
It's just not easy to be bored. I think it's maybe not a lost skill, but the privilege to be bored just
mm,
out of the blue is gone, and now you really need to learn how to be bored and kind of force yourself to be bored. That's kind of what I mean with this post. But yeah, it was I believe it's pretty true.
But yeah, we talk about the power of the news, we talk about power of culture. If we're consuming that stuff all the time, we lose what we actually think, right? We're too busy being told what to think. We're too busy to being told all the things that are important, what we should value, what we should be pursuing and desiring. And if we continue the information coming that way and we're not actually putting out what we think and what we believe to the world, we can, I guess, there's probably a good reason why people lose a sense of themselves.
Well, I think if you follow like the default option, which is probably like the news, whatever person who screams the loudest and stuff, then
Mm.
it's really hard. But again, for me, it changed when I started to listen to self-development books.
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss, I just started to Google, when one book led to another book's recommendation, and then you did this, and then you did that, and that kind of gave you some thoughts and new perspective about the world and how you want to live your life, and maybe what's
Mm.
actually true and where you have been like lied to, or just that all this, how big of a deal is this like society pressure, and all that sort of stuff. And then you kind of, when you start to realize it, you can kind of, okay, am I like following the big herd, or are trying to carve out, my own little path or something.
Mm.
So I think it really depends. It's a blessing and a curse. I'll curse all this information, because at the same time, I don't know, when maybe my mother was young, she hadn't the abundance of all these like self-development books, which maybe could change her life and drastically, maybe better,
Mm.
better direction. Who knows? So it's definitely a blessing and a curse, and it's up to us kind of to decide where we put our attention. But yeah, boredom is dope, definitely, for creativity.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, because I got 10-year-old and 7-year-old, and if they ever come to me and say bored, I'm gonna now say them what a privilege that is. Janis says, what a
This is
privilege.
good. This is good. I will. Oh yeah, I need to use it because my 5-year-old, I'm really bored, and
Yeah, yeah,
this is a good line. This is a good line.
yeah.
This is a good line. I'll steal this.
What a privilege. Absolutely. I love that. You talk about actually saving time or maybe creating more clarity by having shorter fail cycles. And I think there's a lot of narrative out there around failure, reframing failure, it's good, but there's still a lot of resistance to being able to to fail and fail fast and fail often. How do you set yourself up for those short fail cycles?
Yeah, I believe context often is everything. A lot of the ideas which I put out in one context, they are like really dope ideas, and some other context, they are just garbage advice. So it really depends like where you kind of apply this. But I believe in general, especially when you are in whatever field you are, when you start out, like short fail cycles are really important, because it's just like the planning is mostly it's guessing. It's mostly guessing. So you need to try to like put out these MVPs and do quick iteration cycles and do things and fail and try again. And that's how you will end up to the good stuff. If you will just spend 3 years on a book right now, you will decide, I will make this book, and then you slowly will go into the cave and spend 3 years, like probably won't be sold much, or maybe it will be trash for some other reason, because I don't know, you have not like kind of validated maybe some of the ideas or hypotheses online or whatever. I don't know, maybe I'm talking trash, but I think if you're early, it's like, especially for like young creators who struggle a bit with perfectionism, this is extremely common. They will just say, I have this awesome idea, and then will be lost for 2 months, and they will come out and they will say, it's not really good, and they will just whatever fuel their doubts and stuff. So
I see the same with podcasters. They'll do 3, 4, 5 episodes and then they'll stop. Podcast is gone. And my advice to anyone starting a podcast is do 10 episodes and don't judge it. Because to be human means you will learn through doing. Comes back to that image you did there. We learn through doing. Trust your natural capacity as a human to go, oh, I've learned something. Or something about the upload process, something about the audio, something about the way that I spoke, or something about the way that I phrase my questions. Got to trust that learning will take place throughout the creative process without you even forcing it and trying it. But one thing that you will do if you judge it too hardly is you'll stop your desire for creating again the next time.
Yeah, it's the thing you said. I think it's so important. I think especially like currently, because like the comparison thing is just crazy, and you have these polished podcasters, polished YouTubers, polished this and polished that, and you just feel that is so freaking far away, like how I can even compete with this. But of course, if you would like stay persistent, stay consistent, in 2-3 years, you would catch up and would make as good stuff or even better. So it's a very healthy perspective to have, because it's very hard to produce something out of the blue, just come out and be like a freaking rock star. It's not easy.
You run courses and things like that. If people are inspired by the creations, what sort of things do you have available for people?
Not that much, actually. Currently, like all my income streams has been coming from freelance and my Explain Ideas Visually course and community. And that's basically that. Now, as my newsletter has started to grow and is around 6K, some sponsorship opportunities start to roll in. So that's another income stream I have. So yeah, you can sponsor my newsletter, sign up to my course. I could do consultations if people really want to, but I have never really done them. It's kind of a bit foreign language to me, but if somebody really wants, sure, I can jump on a call. But yeah, many more things coming this year. I hope to start to work on the coffee table book this year. Now trying to figure out, do I want to go with a publisher or just kind of dealing on my own with it? That will be an interesting experience as well. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, all my stuff is online.
Love that. You in the 3 quotes that you shared, I like the last one, the Jim Carrey quote. Do you remember it?
That's good. I know, it's really good. It's really good. I'm trying to remember the exact words, but I know the quote, but I'm trying to remember it. It's like,
shall I read it?
Yeah,
it says you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
Oh, it's just too good. It's too good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I still remember. You probably have heard. Have you heard that speech where he mentions that quote? Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful speech where he like mentions his father and stuff. So yeah.
He's a wise guy. For someone that plays the characters that he does, he's a wise guy.
Yeah. I don't know what he's up to recently. I think he's really into painting, and just kind of, hey, world, shut the fuck up. I want to be alone and make my paintings or something like that. I'm not really sure what he's up to right now.
I think he had that kind of spiritual ascension that kind of made him see Hollywood in a very different light, shall we say?
Yeah, don't know much about it, but I have seen some clips from him. But yeah, anyhow, fascinating character, and that quote is just so good. Take it to heart. Anybody who's listening, just take it to heart. It's so true.
Your first post back in September 2021 was all about the tipping point. What's your experience of the tipping point been?
You are referring to the thread which I shared about the like kind of where things changed. I think the tipping point
I'm referring to your first Instagram post.
First Instagram post. I don't know which it is. Let me just check it up.
Yeah, September 2021. It's this wonderful chart where things are like going along quite flat, and then there's a tipping point which things just take off.
And what was the tipping point?
Yeah, good question. That's what I'm asking you.
There wasn't any tipping point. So maybe there's like, I think this is a good example to show the kind of power of iterations.
Yeah.
And that one thing which I do with my visuals, it's like I often will like reshare kind of the same visual, but I will do some sort of improvements of it because I often like build on top of them. So I might have like a crappy idea back then, but then I will make something else. But yeah, about the tipping point, I think I definitely had another visual. Let me just
scroll. Well, it's very much in line with your most recent post, which is when the rocket just starts to off it goes. You talk about 4 years where it's kind of very stable, and then within a short growth period, things can just compound.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely true. But with the tipping point, I see the visual, but yeah, there is the tipping point. I actually don't know that much. So yeah, that was my tipping point, and that's from where that visual comes from.
Yeah, I love that. So I include all your good links in the show notes because I want to make sure that if people aren't following, that they get to see. And this is it. Like if we're going to use social media, there's a good friend of mine down the road. She talks about social media for social good. You know, and a lot of influencers, and I'm doing funny things with my fingers as I say that word, they actually suck the light from other people. They suck in the attention, and they almost become black holes that they just take time and attention. Whereas I love what you talk about being respectful for people's time, respectful for people's attention, and actually you're trying to help them in some way. And that's the type of influencer that I subscribe to, one where the light goes from the content out to the people, and in some way that light starts to inspire maybe ideas or actions of other people, and then that sends out a wonderful ripple effect.
And that was a good one-liner which you shared, which that lady said, social media for social good. That's a good one-liner. I like it.
Because we're going to be on these platforms, right? If people are on there, I want people to be seeing stuff that has the potential to help them, not the potential to suck up 10, 20, 30 minutes of their time without anything in return.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, of course you can like reverse engineer a lot of the things, but I hope and I believe that, especially now, I think back in the days when like internet was still kind of maturing, there was more possibilities for like crap content to hit big. But now I think it's more that you earn trust, you earn followers often with good content that people find valuable. Of course, there are exceptions, 100%, but I think it's heading more of that direction, that it's harder to be like whatever, scammy. Though I don't know. Maybe I'm just following these people and I don't see that, but then you still hear that whatever your father have donated money or participated in some sort of scheme, because the old generation is like, what is the internet still? And kind of calling you every now and then. So
Yeah, they've fallen
so
for the latest crypto scam.
exactly, yeah. So I don't know, but I think I don't know. Just try to do good shit, and I believe it will come back. Yeah.
Love that. I have a word here, always better than yesterday. It's called heartprint, and the word heartprint is a word that describes the ripple effect, the legacy of our work, of our interactions with people. And I just love to know what you think the heartprint and the legacy and the impact of your work would be, or what do you at least hope the impact of your work will be on people?
That's a good question. I should thought about this before. I don't know. Can you, like I told you my vision mission thingy. Can you summarize that in like few words? If you could, that could be the thing. I just don't have the words how to summarize it like easily.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, I guess another way of looking at it is, what do you make possible for people?
what do I make possible? I think it's like I want to say the word hope. I'm not sure, but I kind of feel with the word hope. Because I don't know. Still, my content is not most of my content. It's not in depth or whatever. It's just these quick bites, and you might look at whatever some sort of famous lady's butt or boobs, online or whatever you fancy, and or you can see some of my visuals, and maybe it will just trigger some little thought or some little like feeling acknowledgement moment, and then that just kind of boils down probably to hope and taking further action. It's not like I'm giving elaborate extreme advice how to go from this to this, maybe a part of my course just how to do the things I do, but when it comes online, I think it's mostly just hope and a bit of positivity during the day, and kind of trying to move people the direction which I believe is decent, which is just personal development, creativity. I think those are great things, and even if you like working 9 to 5 and stuff like that, I still believe like there is some magic when you express yourself creatively. It shouldn't be necessarily to make a business out of it, though it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I think your images are wonderful pattern disruptors that in some way that they've caught my attention, and they've in that single moment they've refocused me, they've recentered me on something that's either good or is going to help, and that has the potential to change the moments straight after. And for as long as your audience continues to grow and the content continues to share, the ripple effect of people being refocused and doing in that moment something beneficial for themselves or other people, that is going to have a net effect, net compounding effect of more goodness in the world. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, man. Where can people check out your work? What I'll put all your links in the show notes. Where's the place that you hang out most?
um I don't know. Just put the links in the show notes if people want, they can check out. But yeah, I'm like on socials. I'm on Twitter. I think Twitter is my favorite platform. Then maybe Instagram. Then LinkedIn. And yeah, I have a website with all my stuff, and a newsletter if you want to sign up to. But yeah, all my stuff is on socials, so just plug it there. And if somebody might enjoy it, very welcome.
Absolutely love it.
Hit me up. I really try to answer, like if you have any questions or whatever, hit me up in DMs. I really try to answer everybody. Just ask normal questions. Don't say hi and then don't tell anyone. That's get deleted because it usually leads to crypto scams. So just but feel free to reach out. I really like to hear from people, and I reply to everybody in my newsletter and stuff. So yeah, that's that.
Janis, I'm grateful for this conversation. I've absolutely loved hearing from yourself, your heart, your mind, your creation, and I will continue to be a big fan and advocate and sharing of your stuff with our community. And I'd be honored if you'd leave us a final thought from your good self.
I want to leave people with the same quote we mentioned, which is, I believe in my abilities to figure things out. Like, try to take it to heart. It's so true, because you have figured stuff out before. You can figure out the thing, whatever it is, whatever you want to do, so have some faith in that. And I think it's a really good quote to hold on to. I love it. That's why I share it.
Janis, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you for making it to the end of the interview here on YouTube. I hope that our time spent together has left you a little bit better than before you push play. Before you go anywhere, please leave a comment down below, some of your key reflections, your key takeaways. I love hearing from you and what this conversation has inspired in you. Let me know what you're going to do as a result of this conversation. I will be back next Wednesday, where I will share another inspiring guest. To make sure that you don't miss that, please do subscribe, hit the bell, and you will be notified as soon as it goes live. If you're curious to know how I, through Always Better Than Yesterday, can serve you, your team, your organization, please do visit alwaysbetterthanyesterday.com, and it will be my honor and privilege to help you in any way I can. Keep leading, my friends. I've been Ryan Hartley, host of the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast here on YouTube. Always love.